If you stop work for any safety-related reason, the management of this company will support you in every way possible. Management believes that factors such as schedule, cost, production do not rank ahead of an injury-free workplace. If you express a safety concern, the company will address it. If an incident or injury does occur, a full and thorough investigation shall be initiated for the purpose of preventing a recurrence or similar events. Included investigations shall not be conducted for the purpose of assessing blame. This is what management expects from you. If an activity is unsafe, don't do it. And don't let anybody else do it. If you observe an unsafe action, speak up. Speaking directly to the person committing that act should be done from the perspective of genuine concern for that person's safety, not from a compliance mentality, never in a derogatory manner. Ever, never. If you're unsafe with a safe way to perform an activity or something doesn't seem correct, speak up. Asking questions and ensuring everyone involved in the task is familiar with the proper procedure and that can help to prevent incidents and improve efficiency. Incorporating a safety-conscious approach to our work may be accomplished through these activities. Remember, if you see something that's unsafe or you feel it's unsafe, stop what you're doing, speak up. Now I'd like to talk to you briefly about the disciplinary program. The company has adopted a 3-step policy to identify and address employee and employee-related problems. First step is a written warning. It'll go in your personnel file and it stays there for a year. Second written warning is essentially the same thing. It's a written document. It goes into your file and stays there for a year. If you receive a third written warning within that 1-year rolling period, it will result in termination. No exceptions. The way to get around this? Real simple. Just play with the rules. No exceptions whatsoever. Substance abuse. The first step in any substance abuse program is for the abuser to admit to him or herself that there is a problem, that the problem is out of control, and you must ask for help. BESCO does not want you injured and will help you if you request assistance. Several things about drugs and alcohol. Bottom line, don't use non-prescription drugs to come to work. If you take prescription drugs, and this is very important, keep them in the original container from the pharmacy and notify your supervisor that you are taking said medications. Thirdly, if you're just hungover from the night before, stay at home. Again, we just don't want the chance of something happening and you blowing above a legal limit or at a legal limit or have alcohol on your breath. Protect your job, protect your health, protect your life. Curtail the use of any sort of illegal drugs or alcohol. As far as sexual harassment goes, this company respects you as an individual. It also expects you to not only respect yourself, but simple respect for all others that you meet. Folks, we're all in this together, and none of us are going to get out of it alive. You need to report any form of perceived harassment to your supervisor or directly to management. The reason you would go directly to your management, if your supervisor was perceived to have inferred anything that you took as sexual harassment. One thing that's most important beyond all of this, do not take matters into your own hands. Don't reply. Don't lash out. God forbid, don't get physical. Just take it up the chain of command. Don't try to solve it yourself. Let's talk about the HAZCOM program and safety data sheets. GHS stands for Globally Harmonized System. It was put in by the United Nations, and what it does, it standardizes HAZCOM worldwide. Solves some problems, causes some problems. So let's talk about the program as it exists. First, talk about container labeling. If you've got a great big jug of WD-40 and you put it in a small spray bottle, and if you maintain that in your control only for the rest of the work shift, you don't have to put a secondary label on the bottle. Secondary label says, in this case, WD-40, and it gives some numbers as far as the HMIS system, and then below you would put any PPE that was necessary. If in fact that you see a container without a label on it, secondary label, take it to your supervisor. Ask the guys around, hey, is this any of you guys stuff, whatever it is, since it's not labeled? Give it back to them, let them put it in their control or put a label on it. Secondary labels are available from your supervisor. SDS sheets. They're now 16 parts. They used to be 1 or 2 pages, and you had to read the whole thing to find what you're looking for. Now, there's 16 parts. They're 10 pages long, but really the only 2 sections you're looking for is Section 4 and Section 8. Section 4 is what's in it that's going to hurt you, and the OSHA limits, and number 8 is first aid. Beyond that, if you're really bored and want to do some reading, read a few SDS sheets. You'll quit soon enough. Pictograms. We now have a 9 pictogram sheet you'll see everywhere. It's got an exploding bomb. It's got a dead fish next to a tree. That means it's toxic to the environment. The exploding bomb, well, it's something that's explosive. Each one of them is depicting what a hazard might be. They'll also be in the SDS sheets. If there's any questions about any of that, see your supervisor. Supervisor doesn't know, and they should. They'll call us. We'll come out and explain it to you, pictogram by pictogram. Most people think personal protective equipment is your first line of defense against harmful things in the shop. Actually, of the 3 items, it's the last one. The first one is administrative controls. What do we mean by that? The company farmed that job out to another company. The company limited your hours of exposure in the workplace to that substance or that job. Administrative. Engineering controls, we're going to use a bigger fan to blow more air across. We're going to do several other types. We're going to modify the plant, modify the equipment. That's engineering. If those don't work to get a substance below the permissible exposure limit or keep you safe from that hazard, we're going to go to personal protective equipment. That's the last line of defense, gentlemen, not the first. So let's talk about it. Every employee at BESCO must wear a hard hat on the job site. No exceptions, none. You must wear clothing suitable for the work you're doing, and that's long pants and a t-shirt with sleeves. We're going to suggest that you wear something made from cotton or natural fiber. We don't want you wearing polyesters in case there's fire. Polyester melts right into your skin. Not a good thing. Firm sole work shoes. We don't want you slipping and falling. Eye injuries, the most common form of injury for a construction worker. What do? Safety glasses. This must say Z87, ANSI Z87-1 on the side of them somewhere. They're to be worn at all times. Likely they should have side shields as well. The company doesn't require it, but not a bad thing. Now, if in fact you're grinding and putting particulate into the air and you're getting the nice sparkler fairy effect, well, you better put on a face shield over your safety glasses. Safety glasses, 95% plus for keeping it from an injury. Put a safety shield on there, it goes to 99.9. You can walk with a false leg. You can chew with false teeth, but I'll be damned if you can see with a glass eye. Also, you lose one eye, you've lost all of your depth of perception, and you've lost peripheral vision. Try threading a bass plug with monofilament with one eye closed. It ain't fun. Hearing protection. If you can't hear somebody speaking next to you, it's a good sign that you're going to need hearing protection. Contact your supervisor for any specific types that you're required to wear on the job site. Harnesses, lanyards, shock absorbers, double lock, and snap hooks must be worn at all times. If you're 6 feet off the ground, and we'll talk about this a little bit more in a few minutes, if you're more than 6 feet off the ground, you will be tied off and you will be in a harness. If you're not, remember that safety warning lecture? It's going to happen. Gloves must be worn at all times. Don't wear nitrile gloves if you're handling sharp steel. Don't wear big heavy leather gloves, again, if you're trying to protect yourself from a liquid. There's proper gloves available for you of all types on site. If equipment becomes defective or damaged, take it out of service immediately. Just take it to your supervisor, they'll get it replaced. You're required to look at your PPE every day to make sure it's in good serviceable condition. Don't hurt yourself because this is the last line of defense. Gentlemen, the Gravity Fairy is a bitch kitty. We talked about it a minute ago. If you're more than 6 feet above a walking surface, you will be tied off. That's BESCO's limit. OSHA allows 15 to 30 feet for trained ironworkers. You must have your harness, you must have your lanyard, but you don't have to tie off. Well, that's good for OSHA. That's not good enough for BESCO. 6 feet. If you're above 6 feet and you're not tied off, here comes the safety infraction. One thing you need to be aware of is spatial awareness. If you've got the proper length lanyard and you're 15 feet off the deck and you're all hooked up properly, but you need to be aware if you're moving around that it's still 15 feet below you and there's not something that's sticking up. You need to be aware of what's going on. Aerial lifts. Only trained and authorized persons shall operate that equipment. If in fact you pass an examination and the training, you'll be issued a license. A daily inspection shall be completed and the results documented before any personnel are to be lifted. Personnel shall always stand with both feet firmly on the floor of the lifting enclosure. No climbing on the basket rails. No climbing on the top rail either. A body harness and lanyard shall be worn by all personnel. This fall arresting device shall be firmly attached to the lifting enclosure, to the hard attachment point. Such body harnesses and lanyards will be inspected daily before use, and those results documented as well. Folks, it's your responsibility to keep your workplace clean. Scrap materials and rubbish are fire hazards and they're accident hazards. It's hard to fall over a bare concrete floor. It's real easy if it's all cluttered. So if there's a trash can available, use it. Slippery substances, oh yeah. If your oil or water on the floor, get some sand or oil dry, sprinkle it down, sweep it up. If you find a traffic cone nearby, put it where the slip spot may be. Let other people know. Notify your foreman if there's excessive debris in your area that's the responsibility from another sub, another company, or somebody else in our company. You don't necessarily have to clean up after somebody else. We'll make them do it. And you can watch. Nails, pieces of wood, protruding nails, any kind of sharp object shouldn't be left on the floor. They'll go right through your foot. So we don't want to get Pontius Pilate and the Steel Driving Five playing their latest song, Get the Cross Baby. So keep things picked up and clean. Keep exit routes clear. If you see somebody running for an exit and you don't know why, your job is to beat them through the door. Gentlemen, remember that the cleanliness of your work area says a lot about who you are and the company you represent. Keep it clean. Safe working distances near power lines are real simple. If it hasn't been locked out and it's got that great big black, white, and red tag on it that says locked out by the electric company, do not get any closer than 20 feet. Your body or your equipment. The maximum voltage distance you have to stay away is 45 feet. So if you're further than 45 feet, you're good to go. Anything between 45 feet and 20 feet, be aware you may have a problem. If you're 20 feet or less, you've got a problem. So stay away from the high lines. They can hurt you a lot. Crystalline silica is one of OSHA's new hot topics. It refers to a commonly found material in the Earth's crust. As a matter of fact, it's the most common material in the Earth's crust. You perhaps know it as sand or quartz. It's only harmful when it fractures into extremely small particles called respirable, i.e. you can respire them through your nose into your lungs. When that little bitty microscopic piece of sand or quartz gets in there, it's a piece of glass. It's shattered, remember? Well, when you breathe it in, it will cut the surface of your lung. After a while, your lung will heal, but generally it's with scar tissue. You do that long enough and damage your lungs long enough with that, they become coated in scar tissue. After a while, you can't breathe. It's not a very pleasant death. Virtually everybody at BESCO, all the supervisors, are thoroughly trained on silica and the dangers of it. You also will be trained over time on the hazards of silica. In the meantime, if you see somebody operating a hammer drill and the HEPA vacuum is not sucking the dust in, tell them to stop or stop yourself. If in fact you see somebody mixing dry Portland cement and it's blowing around, stop them what they're doing. It needs to be a wet process. If you see any sand blowing around, stop what you're doing, get a hold of your supervisor. They're trained to handle the situation and assist you in getting the proper equipment or the proper controls aboard. Don't damage your lungs with silica.